Hello and welcome to Math 2 Cypress High School Summer Program. In this video we're going to be talking about Unit 3E Parabolas, and we'll be starting on Section 1, Graphing Parabolas in Vertex Form. A couple of key things we want to understand before we begin to graph a parabola in vertex form is what H and K stand for. H in the vertex form is the horizontal shift. K is the vertical shift. Now the general formula for a parabola is y equals a, and then in parentheses x minus h squared plus k. Now what I want you to notice is that the h has a negative in front of it. We're going to end up switching the sign when we pull h out of the equation. But the k has a positive. We will not switch the sign on k, and that'll make more sense as we go through this section. The vertex of a parabola, I just want you to draw a little picture first. A parabola looks like a U, and it can either go up or down, but the vertex is the very bottom or top. It's the point where both sides either start going up or start going down if we were to flip this vertex upside down. This point is the vertex, and that point in vertex form is found at h, k. That's going to be a coordinate that we graph. The axis of symmetry is a vertical line that goes through the vertex. So we'll just draw one more parabola. We have our vertex right down here. This dotted line that goes through it would be the axis of symmetry. So those are a couple key things we want to understand before we begin graphing parabolas in vertex form. Now the steps are written just below for graphing in vertex form. The first thing we have to do is find the vertex. That'll be h, k. We're going to pull numbers out of the equation given to us in those spots where h and k are found. What we want to remember, and I'm just going to make a little note over here in red, pointing at the h, switch the sign. And that's not working out so well. Switch the sign when we're pulling the h out. Now step 2, we're going to find 2 extra points by plugging in values for x. We can do that as kind of a t-table form or just find the points off to the side. And number 3, we're going to plot all 3 points that we find, the vertex and then the 2 extra points. And the last step is to connect all of those points in a U shape. The bottom or the top of the vertex or of the U shaped parabola will be the vertex. So let's take a look at problem number 6. Problem number 6 is y equals x plus 6 in parentheses squared plus 2. Very first step, find the vertex h, k. If we go back up and look at the general formula, notice how h is inside the parentheses with x and k is the number adding or subtracting outside. So I'm going to look back in here and say, alright, my h is going to come from somewhere in there, my k is going to come somewhere out here. Now what I have to remember is that when I'm finding my h, I switch the sign. So this is a positive 6 inside here. My h will switch this sign, and h is a negative 6. My vertex is at negative 6, comma, my k is this number out here being added or subtracted, and we don't switch the sign on k, it stays positive 2. So this is my vertex, negative 6, comma, 2. Now to be able to graph, I need to find the 2 extra points. So my 2 extra points. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my x value, that's that first h value right there, negative 6, and I'm going to add and subtract 1 from it. I'm going to add 1 to negative 6, and negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. Comma. And I'm going to leave that spot blank. I'm going to write 2 points here, 2 extra points. So I'm going to add 1 to this negative 6 to get negative 5, and I'm also going to subtract 1 from negative 6. Negative 6 minus 1 is negative 7. So I'm just going to start with those 2 points. Okay, I haven't found these numbers yet, but I'm just going to start by creating 2 points, and these x values right here will be the h plus 1 and the h minus 1. Now I need to find the numbers that go inside there. The way we do that is we start with the general equation we already have, y equals x plus 6 squared plus 2. We start with that, and then we take these numbers right here, negative 5, and plug it in for x. This is my x value. I'm going to plug it in for x and see what I get for y. My y value will go right here. So I'm going to take this negative 5 and plug it in. So this is going to be y equals, instead of x, negative 5 plus 6 squared plus 2. So I'm taking this right here, plugging it in for x, and I get y equals negative 5 plus 6 squared plus 2. I have to do the math inside the parentheses first. We're just following PEMDAS, so y equals negative 5 plus 6 is a positive 1 squared plus 2. And we'll keep going with the exponent. 1 squared is a 1 plus 2, and 1 plus 2 is 3. So this 3 right here is what is going to go inside the parenthesis with negative 5. That's negative 5 comma 3. Now what's nice with parabolas is that they are symmetrical, which is why they have an axis of symmetry. They are symmetrical to both sides of the vertex. So right here we've gone 1 to the right of the vertex, and we've gone up to positive 3. Right here we've gone left 1 of the vertex. It's symmetrical, so it will also be positive 3. As long as you add the same number and subtract the same number on these two, then these will be the exact same number. So negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5, comma 3. Negative 6 minus 1 is negative 7, comma 3. They're going to be the same. So now we have our 3 points. We're going to plot them. My vertex I'll plot in red, negative 6, comma 2. I'll go left 6, up 2, plot a point. And then these other 2 points I'll plot in black. We got negative 5, comma 3. And negative 7, comma 3. That looks like a U shape. So I'm going to connect and make sure that my vertex is the bottom of the U. Put little arrows, put little arrows on the corners because this parabola will go forever, so we want to show that with arrows. And now we just have an axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is really easy to find. The axis of symmetry will be x equals, and it's just going to be this number, the first number inside the vertex. Didn't mean to do that. It will just be the first number inside the vertex, in this case negative 6. So x equals negative 6. That is the axis of symmetry. And if we were to graph the line x equals negative 6, you don't have to, but I'm just going to show you. I'll do it in purple. X equals negative 6 would be a vertical line that goes through negative 6 on the x-axis. Notice how it splits up that parabola. This negative 6 right here, x equals negative 6, splits up the parabola in half. You could fold each side into each other. So that's how you graph using vertex form, and we can take a look at one more graph and do together. Let's take a look at, let's go number 10. Number 10 looks like a pretty good one. Again, we need to first identify our h and k. My h starts inside, my k is on the outside, so I'm just going to write little h and k there. And then my vertex will be h comma k. I have to remember that with h we're going to switch the sign. So inside the parentheses is a negative 6. My h means it's a positive 6. My k, we keep the sign. This is a negative 6, so it stays negative 6. This is my vertex. Fairly simple to pull out a vertex form. Now we need to find 2 more points, which means that we are going to start by creating 2 points and take this first number, h, and add 1. So 6 plus 1 is 7. and also subtract 1. So I'm going to take that number and subtract 1. 6 minus 1 is 5. So we have 7 and 5. We need to find the second number inside here. The way we find it is we start with the original y equals negative x minus 6 squared minus 6, and plug in either 7 or 5. Either one would work. We'll choose the 7. Y equals negative on the outside. 7 minus 6 instead of x minus 6 squared minus 6. Now we've got some math to do. We'll do the parentheses first. Y equals negative. 7 minus 6 is a 1. Squared minus 6. Don't lose this negative here. Y equals, we do the exponent. So 1 squared. This is just 1 right inside here. 1 squared is 1, so this is negative 1 minus 6. And negative times 1 is a negative 1. So right here we have negative 1 minus 6 is negative 7. So this number that we get will go inside both parentheses, negative 7, and it will also go inside that one, negative 7. So we have our 3 points. We can plot them. My vertex I'll plot in red again just so we can see it. 6, negative 6. Plot a point. And then we have 7, negative 7. Just down here. And 5, negative 7. Notice how they form a U. So now we've graphed our parabola. We still have to find the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is always going to be x equals, and then it's the h. X equals h. My h is a positive 6. X equals positive 6. That is my axis of symmetry. So that's graphing out a vertex form.